Welcome to the latest episode of Five on the Floor on the Five Reasons Sports Network. Thanks for joining us on your favorite podcast app, Red Circle, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the Five Reasons YouTube channel. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Also, check us out on FiveReasonsports.com. We're publishing this on Monday. Tonight, we're going to be at Tropical Distillers. You can find it at Allapattah. We've got a lot of people who are planning on coming tonight, so make sure you check them out. They're in Allapattah. We're having a watch party. It's at Tropical Distillers. We've done it there before. We're sponsored by our friends over at U Break Wheel Fix. You can find it at ubreakwheelfix.com. Also by NBA Central. You'll see representatives from both there tonight, including our friend Mark from U Break Wheel Fix. So check us out. Again, starting at 8 o'clock, but actually we're going to be there around 7, somewhere in that range. We've got all kinds of drink specials going on there. There will be a food truck, big 100-inch projection television we're going to have outside in addition to what we're doing inside. So come drink to a Game 5 victory or to the season, one or the other. Join us at Tropical Distillers tonight, again, sponsored by U Break Wheel Fix. And now, today's episode.
Down to Biscayne. Yikes. 5 on the floor. Ride for my dogs. Where here's the thing. You can check the score. Hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frogs. Just like Butler said, you in trouble, y'all. Kept the floor playing. Got it all band. Y'all seen the block. Stop with one hand. And Pat we trust. Inspire, have the guts. We're here to bring the heat. Y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to Five on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, and Alex Toledo, plus others from the Five Reasons Sports Network.
And actually, our guy Mercy, who did the theme song, is going to be there at Tropical Distillers tonight as well. All right, we did not expect to be doing this today. This is the floor plan. We've already put 3 episodes up since Game 4, so make sure you check those out. One with me, Alex, and Brady. One with me and Greg, and one with me and Sam Amick. But now we've got some news. Tyler Herro has been upgraded to questionable for tonight's game, and actually it appears that he's going to be active. Woj just reported he's going to be active. Of course, Woj said he'd be active for Game 2, but this is a little bit more official at this point because the Heat, who had him as out on their game notes yesterday, upgraded him this morning. A little bit of inside information, not that we have a whole bunch here, is that I was told essentially that he woke up this morning and didn't feel any pain, which has been one of the issues here. There have been other issues involved with this. One of the things was more sort of, and as we get to our floor plan, I got Alex Toledo here with me. Again, you can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick and at 5 Reasons Sports. You can follow Alex at Tropical Blanket. One of the issues was, the sort of the optics of it, right? Like, was he going to get blamed for ruining their rhythm? They don't have any rhythm right now. They're down 3-1. And the only thing that I'll caution as we get to more of the specifics of what this will mean for tonight is that the Heat have tried this kind of thing before. And again, this is a hand injury. It's not, a lower body injury, which tends to be more trouble with a guy coming back. But, they tried it in 2000, 2001 with Alonzo Mourning, had him ramp up at the end of the season. They got swept in the first round after he missed 69 games during the regular season. They lost to Charlotte in 3. They tried it with Haslam in the second round series against Boston in 2011 after he missed nearly the entire season. He missed the backboard in his first game. They shut him down for another week and a half. And then he came back and played really well against Chicago, but it took some time. Chris Bosh, nobody really remembers this, but when he was out after the Indiana series in 2012, they brought him back in the middle of the Boston series. He was more of a decoy than anything else. And Goran Dragic, 2020, tried to push through in the bubble and had a really ineffective short stint. So I guess we go to this, Alex. We don't really know what to expect from Tyler, except we've gotten to see him shoot the ball. The Heat haven't hit that. What can reasonably be expected tonight after missing 57 days?
I mean, it's so tough, right? Because you go through all the examples of past Heat players that they've tried to bring back for big games and, tough atmospheres to play in. It's tough. It's not. I don't think you can expect a lot, and I actually feel like a lot of Heat fans more or less have the right mentality with it. I think it's because we've gotten to this point where when the series was tied 1-1, everybody was like, "No, you don't mess with it." We're gonna go with what God is here, right? That type of mentality. But once you go down 3-1 after losing another 2 straight, I mean, it's up to 4 now, but you lose both games in Miami in the finals, 4 straight at home. Your backs are against the wall going into Denver, which you already got a game at after not having won there in 6 or 7 years. Your backs are against the wall. This is the time where, it's desperate times call for desperate measures. That's basically what this Tyler Herro situation is. The thing is, he was your third best player all year. We know what he's good at. We know what he can bring. You can't reasonably expect him to play at that level that he played at all year. But I think if he can give you something off the bench, it would actually be useful. You already know the limits when it comes to Tyler Herro's defense, and you're playing other guys in the rotation right now who are not necessarily pluses on that end of the floor either. So I think there's kind of a way to cleanly have Tyler take another guy's minutes, or maybe he takes from two guys' minutes, and you're taking some from one, some from the other. However they decide to handle it, he'll probably not get that many. The 12 to 15 that we've been talking about seems about right. Could be less than that if it's going bad, right? But we kind of saw this happen last year with him in Game 7 of the conference finals when they brought him back. He didn't look good, and then I don't think they played him at all in the second half or something like that. And so I think that's why everybody's expectations are kind of in the right place this time. But I really do think he can be useful. Like there's times where, there's been plenty of times where they're dropping in this series. We know Tyler's a drop killer, but outside of that type of thinking, he is a guy who can create a bucket for himself, has a great two-man game with Bam. Can you harness some of that stuff off the bench and just give you a little something? Because anything he gives you at this point, especially, not to mention the fact that he was their best shooter all season before everybody's percentages came back up during this playoff run. Tyler was their most consistent shooter, not just off the bounce, but kind of off the catch too. So if he can give you a mix of everything that he does, I think it would be really helpful for Jimmy and Bam, who have so much pressure with the way that the Nuggets have evolved defensively in this series, where they're just putting more pressure on Jimmy and Bam to kind of create their own shots. They're staying home on shooters a little bit more. I think Tyler would be a nice, I guess, release valve just to take some of that pressure off of Jimmy and Bam. I don't have high expectations for him, but I know what he can do. If he's feeling good, it's tough because it's the shooting hand. But if he's feeling good, you add the guy who was your best shooter all season and was a big time scorer for you. Like at this point, you got to try it out and see if he, maybe you can catch lightning in a bottle, just like this, an entire playoff run was.
Yeah. Well, again, first thing, him being blamed for this is off the table now because, again, they had no rhythm. They're down 3-1. So that part of it will be fine. I almost think this serves as much of a purpose as sort of a decoy situation as it does for him actually playing, because you do give Denver one more thing to prepare for tonight, which, you want to put their minds on something else. Denver doesn't really change what they do a whole bunch, but again, the possibility of him playing, I guess it adds a little bit of a wrinkle here. As far as him playing, I'm actually not as – I've watched him shoot. He looks okay when he shoots the ball. You're talking about discomfort. I'm really more worried about him, in getting caught in pick and rolls defensively and all the rest of this stuff and being afraid of contact, which would be understandable if that was the case. That's really more the issue. But as you mentioned, defensively, it's not like the minutes he'd be taking would be of world beaters defensively. So it's not as much that, it's just being concerned about the contact. I'll say this, and this is really the big question here. We just devoted an entire episode to, are they going to change the starting lineup, do anything along those lines? If Duncan Robinson starts, we know that Tyler Herro is going to play, right? Isn't that an indicator? Because it would seem to me then that Duncan's going to get heavy minutes aligned with Bam, and then Tyler's going to take some of Duncan's minutes, and Strus becomes the odd man out. I also think you'll definitely see fewer Vincent Lowry together minutes tonight if Tyler plays. That's another option. But they essentially will have 5 guards available. This was the case a lot of the season. They had 6 with Oladipo, but they've got 5. They've gotten into kind of a consistent rotation. But again, if Duncan's starting, Tyler's playing. I don't think it's going to be Duncan starting and he's bringing Max off the bench. I feel like if Max starts, Duncan gets the first reps, and then maybe Tyler gets a few of those minutes when it was going to be Vincent and Lowry together. Does that seem reasonable?
Okay, I'm sorry I lost you there for a second, but yeah, it's interesting that that you think that Duncan starting is the indicator for Tyler playing, and I'm with it. I think Duncan starting would be a pretty nice change up to get the Nuggets to react to something different, and we know what the Duncan Bam two-man game can produce. And along similar lines, I would like to see Tyler play with Bam, but it's interesting. I think you might be right there. I hadn't thought about it that way with who he starts, but it's funny because my expectations are still kind of, he starts Strus, he sticks with his guy, and maybe it's just a shorter leash. But But yeah, I don't know. I think he's going to try to play him, and I think it's going to be a smaller role. But that part kind of threw me off, though, because now I'm trying to think about how the rotations are going to work. I agree that I think we probably don't see a lot of the Kyle and Gabe stuff together. That's why I kind of hinted at maybe he takes from more than one player's minutes, because it's kind of just the way that they've been handling the rotations lately. I don't know what the right answer is, though, because I know everybody wants to say just bench Max right now because he's playing. He hasn't shot well in this series outside of game 2. He's shot very poorly outside of game 2, just to be accurate about it. But it's so tough because he's been such a big part of these last 2 deep playoff runs. And I don't know that Spo is just going to go from starting him for so long, in a playoff run where nobody expected any of this. Maybe they did. They will always say they're going for the championship, all that. They were in the conference finals last year, all that. But, they got here with Max as the starter, and they did it last year with him as the starter in the playoffs. So it feels a little bit like I don't think that Spo is going to do that. But I'm not sure. Like, they're down 3-1 going into Denver. If there's ever a time to mess with the rotation like that and just kind of throw everything off, it's now. So it's fun to think about, because we did an episode about this yesterday, and I kind of threw in Tyler as a factor here, and then just immediately threw out the chances. I'm like, I know it's not going to happen, but wouldn't it be fun if Tyler came back? And now here we are. I'm not sure how it's going to play out. Like, I want to see Duncan play more. I want to see Tyler play, but it doesn't sound Spo-like for him to
here's the thing, Alex. Max is, and again, I'm a big Max supporter, and he's been huge in their runs. But, I mean, if you look at the conference finals last year and the finals this year, he's basically sunk them in 4 different games. Somebody posted the numbers on this, where he just shot so poorly that he shot them out of it. And I think the thing that may tip the balance here for Spo is honestly the thing that I respect Max the most for doing, which was that post-game presser that he had in the locker room, where he looks like he's just beating himself up right now. And Spo reads guys like that, and I just wonder if he just says, you know what, it's just, we've got another option now. Duncan's played well in this series. We know Duncan pairs well with Bam. Let's go to that quicker, okay? And then, maybe Max is available if you need him at some point later on, off the bench or something like that. But that kind of tipped the scales for me a little bit. And again, I respect Max for doing it. But when you see a guy in his head to the degree that Max was in that post-game presser, and he's got to go into Denver and trying to make sure. I know he did it in game 2. He made the first 4, then he missed a bunch after that. But he made 4 early. I feel like that may tip the scales for Spo. All right, we'll get into one more thing, because there is a little bit more history here beyond them bringing back star players. It's also the Spoelstra Hail Marys, which I feel like we should go over again, because I hate to say it, most of those have not worked either. I do want to mention another sponsor, though. Prize Picks. Use the code 5, FIVE, get that initial deposit matched up to $100. Here's the thing about it. We really want you to subscribe today, because I put up a contest at 1 o'clock. It's now after 3 o'clock. Nobody's gotten the right answer yet, okay? And all it was, and you can go on to, Alex, don't answer. You can go on to Twitter. The tweet is still pinned to 5 Reasons Sports. It'll probably be pinned all day, because I don't think anybody's getting this question for a while. We're giving away $100 in Prize Picks promo funds, free. That's in addition to doubling your initial deposit if you use the code 5, but you have to be subscribed with the code 5. Here's the question, if this gives you a head start, because trust me, by the time I check Twitter again, nobody's still going to have it. There have been, since 2015, there have been 5 series, not just finals, but 5 series where a team down 3-1 has come back and won. There are actually, I thought it was 6, there are actually 7 players in this particular series who have been part of a 3-1 comeback either on the winning or losing side. You just need to name them on our Twitter feed. And if you're the first to do so and you're subscribed to this code 5, you're going to get an additional $100 in Prize Picks promo funds. So subscribe right now, Prize Picks, get your initial deposit match, get the answer. You'll find it. You do enough digging on the internet, you figure it out. There's one guy that nobody's getting, okay, because he doesn't play for Denver. But go check it out, and I'm giving you enough hints here, and that's about it. All right, use the code 5, FIVE. Alex, you still don't have it, I know. But there's one guy that's throwing – well, 2 actually on Denver, but there's one in particular that's throwing everybody off. All right, let me go through this, though. Eric Spoelstra's tried the finals Hail Marys before, okay? I can think of only one time where it's worked, all right? The one time it worked was 2013. He put Mike Miller in the starting lineup. I don't know if it was game 4, game 3. I remember us being in San Antonio, so actually it must have been game 3 or 4. It was in the middle games where he put Miller in, and I remember Brian Windhorst broke it early in the day, and I heard the same thing, and a couple others heard the same thing, and the Heat denied it all day long, and that was the case. It ended up being Mike Miller starting, and it worked, okay? They put him in the starting lineup. He had been in mothballs all the rest of this. But the others, 2011, he started Mario Chalmers finally in the last game against Dallas after starting Bibby the whole series. Chalmers delivered, but he still ended up using a Hail Mary of Eddie House for almost the entire second half of that game. Eddie hadn't hardly played the whole playoffs. They didn't win the game. 2014, your favorite, Michael Beasley, for some reason, played a ton of minutes in San Antonio in game 5. Okay? Obviously, that goes without saying. It did not work. That would be like playing Yurtsevin tonight. Okay, by the way, some people are calling for. So some of these finals Hail Marys, and 2020, he really didn't have a lot of options, honestly, because Bam was hurt.
Injured Goran and Bam when they came back.
Yeah, I mean, he tried them when they came back, but they're also, I seem to remember Kendrick Nunn getting some minutes in that finals, whereas he hadn't previously in the rest of the playoffs. Most of the time, when you're throwing a Hail Mary, the odds are about the same as the Dolphins completing a Hail Mary. So it feels somewhat desperate to me, Alex, but understandable. You have a guy who was, like you said, your third best player of the whole year. It's not Michael Beasley. It's not Eddie House. It's not even, dare we say, Rio. Okay. So I get it. But this is why I'm cautioning Heat fans. This thing usually does. If you're playing against a better team, they're the better team during the series for a reason. And so I don't, like I said, I don't have high expectations for it tonight.
Yeah, I think it's fair, and I think you going through the history there, it's extremely relevant because that's kind of the stuff I was thinking about. Like, this situation is a blend of both, right? With star players coming back and these Hail Mary moves with, maybe just other rotation players that haven't gotten a run, things like that. It feels like a blend of it. And that's why I'm maybe not as down on it as others are, just because I do think what he provides it's going to give the Nuggets a different layer to think about. I think because he was their best shooter, like, you can't leave him open out there. I mean, maybe if you're the Nuggets, you're like, go ahead, test that hand. I want to see if you can actually still shoot before, I give you the warranted defensive attention. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I do think there's some upside here. It's kind of a fun layer, just, for us in a series where we've kind of seen almost everything play out already, and everybody is kind of acknowledging that the Nuggets have been the better team. Throwing this wrench is fun to think about, to see how it's going to play out. I'm excited to watch, but yeah, my expectations are not very high either. It's just, how much can he give you, and how much can you actually play him? Right? Because it's like, if he starts out good, does that mean you're going to play him more? And then what if you're just like pushing it a little bit too far? I'm not sure what the right way to handle this is, because, that he was your third best player and had so many touches and usage throughout this season and others. And, now he's just kind of probably going to end up getting relegated back to the 6-man role, which of course he won the award for last year. So that's where I'm like, yeah, I don't mind seeing Tyler go back to being a 6-man where he just thrived for an entire year, and just do it for a shortened role, not too much pressure on him. And if it works, it's going to look awesome, because that guy can give you buckets, and that guy can shoot the hell out of the ball. And, for as much as I talk about the defense being a problem because they don't have answers for how to really stop the Nuggets and all their counters, the offense has just not been there. I mean, to the level that you need it, right? The Nuggets have completely outclassed you offensively in just about every game. And even in the game 2 Heat win, where the Heat scored 17 threes.
Sorry, keep going.
Okay.
Because I was setting this in the lead slot while you're talking.
Anyways, in that game where the Heat hit 17 threes to get their only win in this finals, the Nuggets also had a really good offensive rating. So, getting another guy who can help you keep pace with kind of this unstoppable offensive force, like, there's some upside there, man. I'm just excited.
All right. Well, I think we lost Alex there. He's frozen in time there. But we were happy to get you. Now you're back. Happy to get this bonus episode to you. We will see how it transpires tonight at Tropical Distillers. Again, I'm going to post it again on the 5 Reasons Twitter feed, how to get there, all that kind of stuff. We should be out there starting between 7 and 8 o'clock. We got some pre-game drink specials. There's also an all-you-can-drink special. Depends how wild you guys want to get. So we'll see how that goes. Tyler Herro, we're expecting him to be active tonight based on everything that's going. And I will say, I did not anticipate this. I don't think this is the way that he wanted this to go. Again, down 3-1, I get it. The optics are better. But rolling him out here in after 57 days in high altitude in a pressure situation
in Denver, it's crazy.
In Denver, man. Look, like I said, they got nothing to lose at this point, really. And I don't think Tyler does either. And whatever happens with Tyler tonight, I just hope people are kind about it, because for those who have not been a high-level athlete, and I certainly am among those who have not been a high-level athlete, I cannot imagine anything more difficult than what Tyler Herro is being thrown into tonight. So, I mean, if he gives you 3 buckets tonight and doesn't get killed on defense, that's a lot. I don't think he'll be the 6th man, though. I think he'll be off the bench, but more of sort of a 9th or 10th man role. We never know, though. I said this on Twitter. Eric Spoelstra said he wasn't going to play Kyle Lowry a lot when he came back after, a couple months off, and played him 36 minutes. So, it's the NBA Finals. Who knows? I think in some cases, Tyler and Eric are going to have to be kept from themselves tonight. Thanks to you, Break Wheel Fix. Thanks to Prize Picks. Get on there. Remember, 7 players in this series have been part of a 3-1 comeback on the winning or losing end. You can win $100 in promo funds. Have a good day, everybody. See you tonight.
Don't let them get one.
Thank you for listening to the 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.